Hey YouTube, welcome back to another History Teacher Reacts video with Mr. Terry as I continue my quest for historical knowledge here on the internet. Alright, starting a video here of a channel I have not done before, but I have heard about, and they're called Kings and Generals, I believe. And just from kind of glancing at their channel, looks like they do a lot of it's basically military history, right? So with that, I saw there was a bunch of they had a bunch of battles and stuff like that, and I was looking through that and wanted to find one that maybe might be a little, a lot of people may not know about, but is still really important. I think that's so useful because it's easy to go over and over the most famous battles in history, at least from the general public. But to see some of the other ones that maybe aren't as known but are extremely important, I think that's really important to do. So I came across that video on the Battle of Yarmouk, 636 AD. This is a pivotal kind of turning point for the early success of Islamic warriors after the death of the Prophet Muhammad, as they are going to take on the Byzantine Empire, who has had control of kind of much of the Middle East here, as you can see from just this map before we get started here. And this was a key pivotal one. It's I believe one of the big early victories for in these early Islamic years. And of course, after this, they really go on a string of victories all throughout, in all directions, basically. Really, the Islamic kingdoms really just, take it to a completely new level when it comes to conquest. They'll, from here head east into Persia, west across North Africa, making eventually within about a century all the way into Spain out west, and east all the way to India. So this was very influential from that, because I think if this gets stopped right here, you may not have that spread of the Islamic world, and that would completely change, history that way. So interested to see what kind of details they got. This kind of stuff I'm always interested in, especially more ancient stuff, or closer to ancient stuff, about where they get source material and that. And I don't know exactly how deep they go into the actual battle, because again, it's hard to obviously know that, but I'd be interested to see just how they do this, what their style is, because I have no idea. This is the first video of this channel that I've seen. So let's go ahead and check this out. So go Battle of Yarmouk 636 early Muslim invasion documentary. By the way, there will be a link to the original video down below. So if you like that, be sure to give them a like and subscribe and give them support. And if you haven't subscribed here to our channel here, then definitely invite you to do so you can continue on with us. All right, let's do this.
1,381 years ago, between the 15th and 20th of August, the geopolitical situation in the Middle East changed forever. The Eastern Roman Empire faced an invasion from a new religion, Islam, and they fought for dominance in the region during the Battle of Yarmouk.
Islam's brand new, within decades here of this happening. So yeah, this is very, very early. Of course, we don't know at this point what the Islamic world's going to be like, but this is one of the pivotal early moments for the history of Islam and Islamic kingdoms.
Thousands died during these 6 days, and violence still rages in the region. Welcome to the new edition of Kings and Generals, the documentary.
So I don't know if they do this for other videos. Did they use footage from like a video game or something? Are they using a game to kind of like carry out the war? Is that kind of what they're doing here, or do they make these graphics? Guess I'll find out when I see more of their videos. But this is the first time I've seen this channel
Series.
So these videos they've done are just famous battles in history. Korean War, Door-Elam, Crusades. Same thing. Oh, before that. Yarmouk. Yep. Okay.
First, we wanted to thank everyone who has been watching our documentaries so far. Statistically, few people watch the end of videos, so we decided to ask for your subscriptions here. We're going to produce more documentaries, so please subscribe so you don't miss a thing. In one of our previous videos, we covered the war between the Byzantine Empire and the Sasanian Shahdom that took place between 602 and 628. Now, in order to understand the situation in the region before the early Muslim conquest, please watch our previous videos. To summarize, that war ended inconclusively. Neither side gained much, and conflict weakened both states and exposed them to
So they've done videos for all of these battles right here. So this is kind of a series, I guess, leading up to that. That's incredible, because look at the time span.
an invasion from the new caliphate. While the two great empires were fighting a bitter war, to the south of them, the prophet of Islam, Muhammad, was preaching his new religion. By 630, he had successfully united most of Arabia under his control. Muhammad died in 632 and was succeeded by Abu Bakr. Although most of the peninsula rebelled against him, the new caliph was able to restore his kingdom in 633.
Remember that after Muhammad died, there was quite a debate in the community about who should kind of take over, right? It was Abu Bakr, Ali, and they it actually was one of the things that originally created the split between Sunni and Shia Muslims. Should it be someone kind of chosen from the community? Should it be a family member sort of his through that line? So interestingly, that kind of happened, especially that kind of those debates happened right away, and is one of the early splits that was eventually happened in the Islamic world.
Abu Bakr launched an invasion against lands beyond Arabia during the very same year. Eastern Syria, western Iraq, and central Jordan were all conquered and became the foothold for the next phase of his plan,
the Persian Sassanid
the
Empire.
invasion of Palestine and Syria. This region was a weakness in the Byzantine defenses. The local population was often disloyal for religious reasons, and Roman rule was just recently restored after the war against the Sassanids. Historically, these lands were used.
Pretty good timing here, because basically the Sassanids or Persians here, Byzantine Empire, they've been fighting each other for a long time. And what you saw with these Islamic kingdoms was kind of a good timing, because they had been so weakened from fighting each other. They were able to maybe a little more easily insert themselves into this region, whereas if they had maybe fought when these two empires were kind of at their height, could have been a different story.
Usually invaded by the Persians from the east, so the defenses to the south were lacking. In 634, Abu Bakr ordered the invasion of Palestine and Syria. His plan was to take control of these provinces and cut the Byzantine Empire in half. Emperor Heraclius still considered an attack from the south to be unlikely, and only left local garrisons to defend the region. The first battle happened on the Roman-Sasanian border at Firaz. Arab forces then moved to Palestine, where the Roman garrison of Gaza was handily defeated in February. Heraclius then reacted to that and sent a larger army to the center of the region, Caesarea Maritima. The best Muslim commander, Khalid ibn al-Walid, who previously operated in the Sasanian territory, joined the army. In June and July, he defeated Ghassanid forces and then the united Byzantine Ghassanid army led by Heraclius himself, while taking only minimal losses. The central battle of this campaign took place in August at Ainidyne. The Byzantines lost more than 10,000 men,
it was probably so
with
hot.
the ability to defend Palestine. The Muslims now controlled the countryside, but weren't eager to attack any of the coastal cities since the Byzantines still led an overwhelming naval advantage. Arab forces moved to the north, slowly taking over the land. Heraclius traveled from Emesa to Antioch and started recruiting a new army to stop the invaders along the Yarmouk River. However, Muslims...
It almost reminds you of like the Crusades before the Crusades, huh? Fighting, you got these Christians and these Muslims fighting over the Holy Land, right? Or what's going to be eventually considered the Holy Land and be a holy land for Islam after the fact here. But yeah, I almost get that, but you're talking, more than 400 years before the first real crusade begins.
Muslim forces were moving too fast, and soon Basra and Tiberias fell under the pressure. Enemies were now in the vicinity of strategically crucial Damascus, and Heraclius sent his armies to stop them. Unfortunately for them, al-Walid defeated the Romans twice and besieged Damascus. Sources offer different versions of the events. However, either through an assault or betrayal, Damascus fell at the beginning of September.
It's important. Damascus is a very important city. Losing that, taking that is a big deal.
The death of the Caliph slowed down the invasion, as his successor Umar demoted al-Walid, but the new Muslim leader still wanted to conquer Syria, and at the beginning of 636, the most important city of central Syria, Emesa, was occupied. Aleppo and Antioch were now under imminent danger. However, now Heraclius had 5 armies under his command and also agreed on a plan with the Persian Shah, Yazdijerd III, to launch a simultaneous offensive. For the first time, Byzantine forces dominated the Muslims numerically, and although the Sasanians failed to start their attack, Heraclius decided not to wait. His plan was to either fight 4 Arab armies separately, or at least push them back. Despite the fact that al-Walid was not the commander anymore, he was still respected, and this new general took his advice to abandon Emesa and Damascus. Initially, Muslim forces decided to defend on the Yarmouk River, but they were forced to withdraw to the plains beyond it. The Byzantines and Arabs held their positions for almost 3 months. There were attempts to negotiate a ceasefire, but they broke down, and finally, both armies engaged on the 15th of August.
They're holding down.
The number of troops is still contested by historians, but it seems that the Byzantines outnumbered their foes 2 to 1. However, some estimations are too fantastic. There are claims that the Romans had 400,000 men, which seems extremely unlikely.
One thing to think about, I talk about this with my kids. Which side is more likely to be biased in the history of a battle? The victors or the losers, right? And especially when it comes to numbers, right? One thing we see, like, for example, with the Greeks, when they're writing, history against the Persians, they would completely blow up the Persian numbers. I had a history professor that told me that when you're reading a lot of like Greek history, for example, about the military size of their enemies, you probably have to divide it by 10 because they probably multiplied it by 10. Is that just on purpose to make it look like a better victory or something like that, or whatever? But I think that's an important skill to learn about, especially when you look at wars, is how trustworthy is the material, where is bias most likely to come from.
As in the previous war against the Sassanids, Heraclius was only able to muster around 40,000. Even if recruitment lasted for a year, the Byzantines wouldn't be able to field much more than that. We know that the Arabs had around 15,000 during the siege of Emesa, but were joined by forces raiding Palestine and reinforcements from Arabia since then, so it was probably more like 20 to 25,000 strong.
Day one, all
the
right,
leader
what
of
do we got?
Byzantine was Armenian General Vayan. He used Ghassanid light cavalry under his command as a screening and skirmishing force. Armenian infantry was in the center, flanked by mercenary foot soldiers to the left, and Greek infantry to the right.
This is where I always interested to know where you get these kind of details, because this is getting very specific all of a sudden. These people, they were on this side by this river and this, and who's actually keeping track of it. I always think that's interesting to know, and I always wonder. You'll never know about how accurate is that. How detailed is this stuff, and yeah.
Infantry was a mix of skirmishers and melee warriors. Each of these groups were backed by cavalry lines, consisting mostly of cataphracts. The commander-in-chief of the Muslim army was Abu Ubaidah, but he allowed al-Walid to lead during the battle. Al-Walid divided his infantry into 4 groups, with 3 cavalry squadrons behind them and a bigger cavalry group in reserve. Arab troops had lighter armor, but compensated that with a higher mobility. It should also be said that the Roman army was international and multi-confessional. The Arab army, however, worshipped one religion and consisted of one ethnicity, so the latter had a substantial edge regarding morale. Both sides considered the plain.
Just trying to think my assessment of that since they had one faith, they were of higher morale. I don't know how you what kind of evidence you could possibly provide for that claim. Because I mean, it's a claim, but how do you substantiate that? That a multi-ethnic army like the Byzantines would not have as much of morale. Kind of interesting to think about that. I guess part of the reason, or one thing you would have to take into consideration, that is the cause for their cause for fighting. For this Muslims, is it truly about their faith at this time, or are there other things at play, political, social goals? And then with the Byzantines, but again, when you get down into a battle, does any of that really matter? Does that, I mean, everyone's trying to survive. Everyone is going to do what they can to win, regardless of what eventually the motive is going to be. You're looking to survive and be successful.
To the east of the Yarmouk River favorable, as the Byzantines relied on their numbers, while the Arabs felt that mobility was their real strength. On the first day, the elite warriors on both sides dueled each other, and it is said that the Muslims won most of the battles and killed many rival officers. At noon, Vane sent 1/3 of his infantry forward for a reconnaissance action. And
by the way, is this stuff from a game, or is this their own graphics, or where does I was wondering where this stuff comes from? Kind of neat looking though.
Some areas began pushing the Arabs back, but most of the army was ordered to not attack at all, so this initial success did not last long. Eventually, units returned to their original positions. During the Muslims'
nothing really
morning
happened
prayer
day
at
one.
the dawn of the next day, the Byzantines attacked. Vane's plan was to tie down the enemy center and use a numerical advantage on the flanks. After some struggle, the Byzantines succeeded on their left side, and their enemies had to retreat all the way back.
Okay, where do
to
these
camp.
details come from?
Sources claim that camp followers and even the wives of the Muslims joined the defense, and that allowed the defenders to drive the Byzantines back. The Arabs also
Rallied
had to retreat
everybody?
on the left, but eventually took back most of the lost territory, as Al-Walid led his cavalry to the area. The Byzantine plan had failed, as the Muslim reserve counterattacked their center, and they had to retreat to restore the front. The third day started similar to the second.
Stalemate again,
as Vane's
kinda?
left flank was able to get an advantage and killed many Muslims, but Al-Walid restored the formation by sending his cavalry reserve to the right. The number of losses the Arabs took was much higher than that of the Byzantines, so Al-Walid understood that his defensive tactics were bound to end in defeat and tried to come up with a new strategy.
Alright.
The Byzantine leader was sure that his tactics were working and decided to attack the left once more. And as in the previous days, his
Is nobody fighting on the other side? Everything they've done is on that same side. Are these people on the left just like chilling, hanging out?
forces were able to drive the enemy all the way back to camp. This time, the right center group of the Arabs also had to retreat, and it seemed that the breakthrough would happen soon. Al-Walid had to save the day. He ordered his left and left center to attack and tie down the opposition. As the Byzantine left and left center
Cut 'em
advanced
off.
too much, they had no one to defend their right
Flanked.
side. Al-Walid would take advantage of
Flanked.
this and send a group to attack there. The Byzantines took many losses and had to retreat to avoid encirclement. The Arab right and right center had its share of casualties, but it held off the opposing forces.
Lucky?
Vayan decided to ask for a ceasefire on the 5th day, but his counterpart empathetically declined, as he was sure that his army was on the verge of victory. Instead, Al-Walid sent a cavalry squadron to secure the closest bridge, and now the Byzantines had no way to retreat.
That sounds like a scary job. Alright, you're gonna go around behind enemy lines, and good luck, buddy.
He concentrated his remaining cavalry on the right flank.
More right flank.
On the 6th and the last day of the battle, the Muslims were ordered forward. When the infantry engaged, Al-Walid attacked the enemy cavalry and infantry from the flank and rear. The Byzantines still had an advantage in cavalry, but while theirs were spread throughout the front, the enemy riders were concentrated. Vane's cavalry was crushed. The Muslim right succeeded in their battle against the Byzantine left, as the latter were attacked by the cavalry from the rear. Soon these troops attacked the Byzantine center, and that was the end of the battle. As the closest bridge was now under Arab control, many Byzantines among them, Vane was killed during the retreat, and there were more than 25,000 casualties.
25,000.
The Muslims continued their invasion. In the next decades,
whole
they took
region.
Syria, Egypt, and North Africa from the Eastern Roman Empire. And even Constantinople was besieged on multiple occasions. The Romans never returned to these lands, and the Muslims still hold dominion over them today.
It's the result here. This is why it's an Islamic-controlled territory, right? And it's been like that for 1,400 years. So you won't see attempted Christian control, really. I mean, successful only until the First Crusade, which is the only one that was successful by the Christian West coming in here. But you can see the origins now, and this is going to be an Islamic homeland.
Thank you for watching our documentary on the Battle of Yarmouk. We hope that you enjoyed it, and we'll be happy to hear your feedback and get your likes. If you share this video, you will help us quite a bit. I am Commissar Bro, narrating for Nurik and Phoenix, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Okay. All right. So, learn some specifics. I mean, a few more specifics of what was going on. I'm not really a military tactical historian. Kind of never have been. What I like when studying wars is cause and effect. Cause and effect. Some of the inner details, I know a lot of people are really into that and stuff like that. I'm into the big picture, right? And the big picture. And they kind of tapped a little bit into that at the end about how, the establishment of this being now controlled by these Islamic kingdoms now from henceforth. And that is what I think is the most important thing. There's so many details, and if you're really into that stuff, this definitely can be interesting. But I think it's most important as somebody learning history, learn about cause and effects. It explains why things are the way they are. So it's good to do that. So I think if you are somebody that is again really into tactics, this seems like something you might really be into. And I'm just gonna guess that probably a lot of their videos are like this. I'm very, very tactical with that. And so if you're into that, definitely I think look more into this channel. I think you'll get into that. If you're more casual and again maybe you're more like me, like you want to see more cause and effect, then a lot of this stuff you might just be like, okay, it happened, so be it. Right? It might be left kind of wondering. And I definitely think could do better as an historian at looking at some of that stuff. But again, I do think the big picture is the most important thing with this. So that's great. But I mean, these videos look super popular. This one has over 1 million. This has over 1 million views, and they have a bunch that have that. So pretty neat there. So I think again, if you're into the tactics, this is definitely the channel for you. All right, well, neat. Well, tell me what you thought there. But again, this is one of the more important, lesser known battles that in history that really explains a lot of what history is going to be like forever after this. Right, this is the early years of Islam and the Islamic world, and early conquest. Some of the first kind of major, if you think about it, first major conquest against a big, formidable foreign enemy. I mean, taking from the Byzantine Empire, right? The Romans. You're taking from the Romans, while at the same time dealing with the Great Persian Empire. So this being a success is going to really be a springboard for within the next century, as they are going to spread and conquer and develop these caliphates and just spread unlike anything we've hardly seen, in history. But again, the what ifs is, what if this was a failure? What if this Islamic group was still confined to the Arab world? Would it have endured? Would it have survived? What would have happened to potentially the religion? Because it's just brand new, right? Muhammad it just ended. It's brand new. Maybe it never ends up existing. So there's definitely some alternative history things that you could definitely throw in there, because this is pivotal and could have gone. The results could have been very drastic in depending on the results there. So, all right. Well, anyways, there is a original or a link to the original video down below, so definitely check that if you want to give them a like and subscribe. I love supporting these content creators that do such awesome work here, and it's really important to see that, because every type of history has some kind of role here, whether it's military, tactical, or again bigger picture. It's all part of one kind of big puzzle piece in a way. So great. All right, a few plugs on the way out. If you would like to support this channel, there's a few ways you can do that. Best thing, of course, is to do like and subscribe. That really helps that, and you can again continue on with our journey here. Other ways you can support the channel, one is to join our Patreon. Patreon members of all levels right now are able to vote in a weekly poll that I put up to kind of fast track some videos to getting onto this channel. So that is one way you can support the channel that way. Thank you to everyone that has been giving donations through, whether it's super chats and the live premieres, or again through Patreon, through Streamlabs. Those are so appreciated. But first and foremost, thank you for just being here, and I hope to see more of you here as I continue my little historical journey here on the internet. So with that, we'll go ahead and end here, and we'll see you soon. Bye.